Hello, everyone. You are listening to the C Squared podcast with Corey and Curtis. We are here with Trevor from the Black Dahlia murder. We're super excited to have him here. He's going to be going over a lot of fun topics with us. He is a wealth of knowledge, as well as being one of the biggest advocates for underground bands that I've ever really seen. And so first, I just want to say thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me. You're making me blush with these kind words.
Well, dude, it's true. I've told Curtis this a couple of times now that I consider it like a personal accomplishment if I'm following a band before you find them. I'm like,
Yeah,
yes, got there before Trevor.
it's kind of just accidentally my special skill. You know what I mean? Like I've been just combing the underground since like the internet really came to a head, and yeah, just like that. It took me from looking through thank you lists to find bands to like, really being able to look at like the big picture. And yeah, I didn't really know that being a computer savvy nerd was gonna play into this band so much. You know what I mean? Like half of it, maybe even more than half of it, being in a band is like being on social media now. It's insane. It's really interesting. So um, just by kind of keeping like my cards close to my chest, like doing all the social media myself, for the bands, for the band, I think is kind of like, I don't know, it's really ramped this thing up. You know what I mean? Like people know it's me on the other end of that. And yeah, it's been working for us all by accident. Who knew?
Isn't that how most good things happen, is always by accident?
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. But before we get like too deep into all of the interview questions and everything, just in like a nutshell, for anybody who's been living under a rock or doesn't really know who you are, could you kind of give just some insight into who you are, what you do, and like your
Sure.
role beyond just, the Black Dahlia murder, like what all you've got your fingers in?
All right. Well,
That came out unintentionally inappropriate.
My name is Trevor Strnad. I am the vocalist of the Black Dahlia Murder. I'm an original member of the band. We just hit the 20-year mark being a band. Um, I am very fortunate. The band is doing very well for an underground band, and I like to use our platform um, to raise awareness about other bands that are out there. Like I really saw a hole in metal media for the stuff that I personally liked, and like the corners of the underground I really dig into. So I felt kind of compelled to give back, and that's when I started doing the obituarist column at Metal Injection, where every month I would put on like 25 bands of new releases coming down the pipes that I just didn't see in other metal outlets. I felt like my personal corner of metal that I like wasn't represented. So I mean, I'm already out here like buying CDs every day. If I don't get a CD in the mail, I get cranky, you know. So like, like I'm just trying to, lead by example here with the fans, like I show them my my inner nerd culture for metal and metal collection, and yeah, they seem to respond to it, like I tried to encourage um a togetherness within the scene, where I see some bands that like um, put out this competitive vibe, where I think some bands are afraid to recommend a young band to their fans because they think they're going to lose their fans to this band or whatever. But in reality, you're just being a friend to your fans, and they're going to love you even more for it. You know what I mean? Which I've learned. But so, yeah, I feel very fortunate that people want to hear what I have to say about things, and people will listen to my recommendations, and um, but yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I've been on Twitch a little bit over this. Um,
Little.
yeah, just a little. I need to get back on there, man.
Mhm.
The world is so hard right now. It's so hard to like put on my happy face sometimes. I feel like the globe is on fire at the moment.
Yep. Yep. No kidding.
Well, hopefully the fire is going out, so it's kind of feeling that way, that the fire is starting to die down.
Yeah, I feel that.
Or
I'm
maybe that's
starting
just
to.
me being really hopeful.
I'm starting to get a little bit more positive about things, and
Yeah.
but definitely had some hard times during the pandemic. I don't doubt that every single one of us did.
But
Mhm.
before we get too much into that, so I want to kind of go back to one thing. So now boosting we want to talk about in particular. So how you boost the unsigned bands, the underground bands. So first thing is like, how do you find them? Because obviously you're a busy guy, you got a lot on your plate. You're a full-time musician, you do a lot of social media and all the rest of it. You got to promote yourself, you got to promote the band. How does Trevor Strnad actually end up finding all the fucking bands he finds? Because you are insane with promoting these bands. Where do you find them?
Um, it's just what I've been doing for 20 plus years, you know what I mean? So like applying it to like giving back is like really natural. But the key is to put your blinders on to the rest of the stuff you don't like in metal, because metal is a very big blanket term. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's a
100.
lot of stuff. I would venture to say that I don't even like most metal. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I like a shit ton of metal, So, um, really, I use like, I have a Facebook with no friends, basically like a blank account, and I have to have an account to run the band account, you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
So what
Yeah.
I do with that is I follow every single band in the world basically that I like, every label. The key is learning the labels, honestly.
Mhm.
Once
Yeah.
you have a grip on all the labels out there, big and small, it's easy. It's way easier to stay on top of what's coming out. So, there'll be like 20 different labels that I'm watching. Um, Bandcamp also, always sign up for the notifications on Bandcamp,
Mm-hmm.
and then make a separate folder in your email for all that shit so you're not annoyed by it, but you can go look at it when you want to and see what's coming out. Um, Another thing is like the illegal downloading blogs. Like wherever you stand on that, every band gets filtered through there, so it's almost like you get to see what's coming out if you stop by one of those. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
What else? um yeah, a lot of it is just watching the labels and knowing and not letting the other crap you don't like in metal exhaust you. So you got to
Mhm.
kind of put your blind up and choose your battles with who you're following, what outlets you're following. you know I try to avoid the clickbaity world as much as possible. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't care what Meshuggah ate for breakfast. I don't care about Devin Townsend's new shoes. Like I
Yeah.
really don't.
Yeah.
But so really honing in on the certain like tunnel vision on what you like is may seem daunting at first, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes easier to just get the info that you want.
Fair
Mhm.
enough. Now, one more thing I just want to ask you about that. So, is that how do you kind of pick and choose those labels? Like you said that you got to learn them all. Like, are you actually following every fucking one you know?
Pretty much, yeah. Any
Okay.
label that's put out anything I've liked, I'll follow.
Oh,
And it's like I said, like once you kind of like hone in on it,
mm-hmm.
it's not as daunting. It's not as crazy. Like once you know how to like find the stuff, you know what I mean? And then
Mhm.
you have this constant influx of, I check my Bandcamp emails. Bandcamp I love. Check Bandcamp often. Check the charts on Bandcamp. A lot of music I discover from checking out other people's lists, other people that have done like the dirty work before me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, totally.
That's a great thing to do. Also, I will look for bands by genre, kind of.
Yeah.
Like I will be like, today I want to find bands that sound exactly like Celtic Frost, and I will deep dive the internet. I will like comb forums. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
metal forums, stuff like that. And I don't know, I'm just good at like snooping, and I like kind of apply that to metal, and um, but yeah, Bandcamp's a great outlet. Um, Following bands on social media and seeing who they're friends with, who they're talking about, like I'm always paying attention to that. Um, Also, Metal Archives is like such a huge part of my life. I'm on there every single day. It's my homepage, when I start my computer straight up. Like, so, it's such a valuable resource. I always recommend checking out like the similar artists to find new
Mhm.
bands. That's always great. Um, yeah, just Metal Archives is like an infinite well of info. Discogs as well.
You you are
Uh,
like you are like the detective of death
He's
metal.
like Sherlock Trevor.
Yeah,
Kinda, I guess, and I'm just like I've normalized it, so it doesn't seem like I'm doing this weird legwork or anything anymore. It's like this constant influx of cool shit. Sometimes it's too much cool shit, honestly. Like
yeah,
I'm like a little kid with ketchup. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
You just end up
more and
covered in
more.
metal.
Yeah, more and more and more. And I was doing the obituarist column, and I
Mhm.
honestly bit off way more than I could chew by doing 20 to 30 bands a month and a few
yeah,
Mhm.
paragraphs on each band. So like I set the bar really high for myself, and I ended up just kind of burning out on like the adjectives and describing it and like, like this is gonna rip your dick off for the
yeah,
400th time. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah, yeah,
and that was really where I hit the wall. It wasn't that I ran out of bands. Like, there's no shortage of new talent. Like, it's always new stuff happening. And honing in on metal and like staying excited about what's new, like gives me energy for the band. Gives me
Mhm.
positive vibes to do what I do. I feel like I'm on this mission to like spread the gospel. You know what I mean? And our band is definitely a gateway band. I've noticed. It's gotten a
Mhm.
lot of people into the extreme, which is very
yeah,
cool. I like being that. And yeah, it's just I feel like it's my personal mission to just fly the flag of metal as hard as I can. And it's to the point of like being neurotic about it. Like if I don't
mhm,
have a metal shirt on, like I don't feel right. Like
mhm,
You feel
it's
kind of
just
dirty without your metal shirt
kinda,
on.
yeah, it's just, like, ingrained in me, and in a way, it's kinda like my security blanket too, you know what I mean? Like, it's my thing, man, it's just
Mhm.
what I like, and, really just I needed to be in this band, and I needed to have this life because it makes me so happy, and it's kind of my blinders to the rest of the world and the state of things, and, like, I just kind of tunnel vision on what I love, and that keeps me afloat. That keeps me
Mhm.
energized to do the band, and yeah, it just keeps me young, And I think it was a good look for the band to be like,
Mhm.
hey, we care about the scene, like
yeah,
we're
Mhm.
from the scene. We're not better than the scene. We're a part of it, and it's all about friendship and lifting other bands up, and just raising awareness where there just aren't that many channels to find out this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like the internet has definitely helped majorly, but it's still not on the radio, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like I feel like the internet is kind of the radio to death metal, you know what I mean? Even
Mhm.
downloading and stuff. Like I'm not mad about downloading, especially like after the Spotify era. Like people are delusional that think they're giving their money to bands through Spotify. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So like if I'm going to go download a few albums and then buy them all anyway, like I don't get what the point is on even staying on Spotify if you're a really hardcore metalhead, a really
yeah,
insane death metal head. The scope of things that are on there are so limited, and
Mhm.
people are letting an algorithm decide like how invested they are in this music, kind of in a way. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah.
like that. I just don't like putting a glass ceiling on it. Like, oh, I can't listen to that because it's not on. It's not been
Mhm.
spoon fed to me during this really easy way. So
yeah,
I can't acknowledge it. Like
Mhm.
that just kind of breaks my heart a little bit, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
like I'm guilty of it too. I stream because it's fucking convenient as hell. I get that, you know, but but I buy the shit out of records. I love collecting. I love like I'm surrounded by I got like 4,000 metal CDs in this room here, and
yeah,
I got no signs of stopping, no want to stop whatsoever. And yes, it's adolescent. Yes, it's kind of but that's like what this whole thing is to me. That's what metal is to me. It's like it's staying a teenager. It has like arrested my development at 15 years old by being in this band. I swear to God. And I love it. Honestly, I love where I'm at. I love having the voice that I have and being trusted by people. And yeah, it's just been really great. It's been really rewarding, and
Mhm.
it's cool to be known as this guy that like that helps the scene and cares. And because I really do, man, I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely your reputation. And then with all of this, I think you might actually be my spirit animal because I feel the exact same way about the scene that you do. It's like one of my friends started calling me the Metal Missionary a long time ago because I was always like, have you heard the word of our Lord and Savior, Ronnie James Dio? Or just like get really like, listen to this, and just
Yeah, that's me. You
that,
know, to the
yeah.
point where I've annoyed all my friends, but
Mhm. But
now
now
I
they're
can
all
just
metalheads.
now I can just stop punishing them and take it to a broader scale. You know.
Exactly. But yeah, you do so much for the scene that it's I love it. And I know I don't know you that well, but it's like I really identify with how you do things and how you boost up the scene, and it just it makes me happy.
Oh, I'm very flattered to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that. You know, like I said, it's out of necessity for me. You know, it does my
Mhm,
heart good. Keeps me on a level. You know, like
mhm.
keep like I don't know, just very blessed to be here. Very like I don't know. I never
It
saw
keeps
this.
you grounded.
It does. It really does.
Mhm,
Where the band is like constantly rising on this like amazing trajectory all this
mhm,
time over 20 years, like staying in the underground has kept me grounded. um
mhm,
it's kept everything realistic, and I don't know, it just renews my excitement all the time. There's new sounds, there's old sounds coming back. I think about it as this
mhm,
like chart, this like like with the branches of genres and subgenres splintering off. And it's amazing. It's honestly
mhm.
like anytime I feel like I have a small grip on the whole of it, like
Something
that's
new
not
comes.
possible. It's just not, like
Mhm.
there's so much metal that like I'm surprised I'm not running into a metalhead every two steps outside. Like I can't like compute it, honestly. Like it just seems like there's just this infinite well of bands. And yeah, man, I love seeing young people getting into it, whether they
Mhm.
like the new, more polished stuff and they're trying to be Olympically fast, or if they like the old demo sounding death metal, that's out of tune and like play on Stratocasters. And,
Yep.
like I love that it's going in every direction, like it's so exciting for me. And
Mhm.
I like so many different corners of metal that like I don't get bored with it. I do love all other kinds of music. Like as I get older, I expand my horizons more and more. I'll be 40 in a couple months here. And also when I started to smoke weed, uh, several years back now, but that also kind of blew the doors open for liking new sounds and kind of like appreciating stuff a little bit outside of my personal box. But when it's not metal time, dude, it's ABBA time. It's fart time. I like funky bass. I like shaking my ass. I love 80s pop. I love AOR, like total dad music. Um, I like everything, man. I really do. And I don't know, music's just the best. It's the driving force in my life, absolutely, and the thing that makes me happy. And I just prefer to keep it simple. I just keep my life simple. Lots of music, and lots of being involved, and that's what makes me happy.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I want to ask you. So, what is your advice for bands on boosting themselves? But before you do, actually, let's go on some. Let's kind of narrow it back a little bit. What are some tips you have for bands not to do to boost themselves? Because I'm sure you get everybody and their dog saying, "Check out my band, man," every 2 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is the kind of like information drops that are coming for bands, like in 6 days we're gonna tell you something. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't work out of the gate
Yep.
unless you have a lot of anticipation for your band, unless you
Mhm.
have a lot of fanship or whatever you want to call it. So like, and I think another mistake is that, and I've done this too in bands, is you're so excited about your new band out of the gate, you want to put it in people's ears immediately. And that
Yeah.
might not be the smartest thing, honestly. Like the
Yep.
best thing you can do is sit back, um, be a band for a while, learn each other, grow, write music, then throw it away, then write better music. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yep.
Then really hone it in and come with a demo out of nowhere or something. You know what I mean? Like start with a professional product. Um, there's no point in just showing off your cool logo and saying we have a band, but there's no music to show for it yet or anything yet.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I
Yep.
think people they get excited about the aesthetic, they get excited about like drumming up some kind of like excitement that they can't yet without any product, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
But so I think it's important to be really critical of what you're doing and realize that like I look back at the early BDM stuff and even the stuff we released first, and like now I have the discretion to be like, nah, man, like we're not good enough yet. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
But so you got to kind of like be critical. Um, of course, I would recommend Bandcamp as an outlet for bands. It's kind of like bridging the gap of like a merch store and a label, like all in one. Um, And I just love Bandcamp. I think it's great. You go there, you buy the CD, you get the download immediately, and the CD's in the mail, and that's all I can ask for. It's great. So I
Mhm.
recommend Bandcamp over SoundCloud and other things like that. I think that Bandcamp is the one. Um, I think that there's a certain amount of I would be trying to build clout on Bandcamp if I was a young band right now.
Clout.
Mhm.
Like every sale on Bandcamp is something to put on your rap sheet to like pitch to a
Totally.
label basically. So
Mhm.
Yep.
um whereas when BDM was getting together, it was mp3.com was kind of the yardstick. It was
Yep.
before social media, just before MySpace,
Yep.
and so we used our popularity on mp3.com at the time because we were like at the top of the death metal chart for a couple months there. And yeah, really, like as a small band, you're just trying to collect these small victories that are going to look good on paper because
Yep.
you need a bio sheet. You need to talk about yourself in the third person about how awesome you are on this rap sheet that you're going to like use to pitch yourself to labels, booking, management, whatever. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
basically the beginning of our band was okay, we need to get a CD out or something out on any label
Yep.
that can get reviewed. And
Yep.
then we will take the parts of the reviews that we like and put them in our little rap sheet. Like it was all going towards this bio, this supposed perfect bio that we were going to make. And
Hmm.
we went the route of sending demos out, and we sent to labels big and small, from like very, very death metal centric stuff to a bit more towards metalcore or hardcore and just kind of everything in between because we kind of had our feet in both scenes.
Yeah.
And 28 rejection letters came, you
Mhm.
Twenty.
know, 28. They slowly all came in. Some of them more encouraging than others, some personalized, some not, some were just automated.
Yep.
And then we got the offer from Willowtip, which we were very excited about. And Willowtip is still a label I really love. And
Hmm.
one of those labels that's good to keep an eye on if you like brutal death metal and technical death
Mhm.
metal. So, that was really exciting. That gave us a really like shot in the arm, like, okay, cool. Like we are a legitimate band. We can get out there. And then
Hmm.
Metal Blade called a little bit after that. And it sucked to tell Jason from Willowtip, like, dude, I'm sorry, but you understand, right? Like, we
Mhm.
have to go take this opportunity. And there was a little bitterness on his end for a while, but we're cool now. We're friends. We talk a lot. And But really, like, you just have to realize that you have nothing when you start. You can't
Yeah.
expect any demand for your band. Like, that was something I didn't get. Like,
Yeah.
we got to leave town, man. If we leave town, that's when it's going to happen. But
Yeah.
no, like, there's no one going to be on the other end of that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? No one
Yeah.
is waiting for you. No one is like going to magically show up. So it's all about getting legitimized through a release and reviews. And Bandcamp can help legitimize you if you have enough. Like, there are bands like Traders, for example, that aren't on a label even, or Shadow of Intent, or Brand of Sacrifice, that are killing it. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
they've cut out all the middlemen of the label, like all the greedy hands taking pieces and pieces and pieces of a CD sale. You know what I mean? So there are really positive things that can happen through that. And you can get a booking agent and not have a label. You can get a manager and not have a label these days. Like, it's a different world right now.
Yeah.
Like the label model might not be the end all be all for a young band. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Because you can reach anybody the same way a label can. Like, the internet is very powerful if you know what you're doing with it. And so yeah, I think that when you show up the first time, you better have something that's going to turn heads. Artwork better be on point. The music better be on point. Um, like, I think young bands growing up in the social media era, like, have that part of it on lock. I think that I even learn a lot from watching young bands like Sanguisugabog are a bit younger.
Yeah.
Some of the other Maggot Stomp bands, and the way that they like are omnipresent on social media, and you get a real sense for the character of the people in the band because they reveal so much. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're very forthcoming, and they kind of like create this environment through their social media because you see them practicing, you see them like bonding, hanging out. Um, so like, I think a lot of young people have that aspect, and they're ready to apply that to a band. But I think it's about like censorship, like knowing when it's good and
Yeah.
waiting till it's good. Like, when
Hmm.
you're young and excited and 16, of course you just want to put out a song immediately, but like, it's better to use discretion, it's better to wait, it's better to edit yourself. And yeah, so
Cool.
that's some of my advice for you.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so I see a lot of bands like they instantly go for the self promotion, especially on like my Twitter. I started doing this Bandcamp roulette thing, and one band was like, "Oh, I'm going to direct you to exactly where to find my album," and that was kind of a turnoff for me.
Yeah.
But like, what are your tips for how to do that kind of thing right, where you're interacting on social media to promote your band, but without being like, the classic, "Here's my band link, go look at it," and it's
Gucci.
not really relevant.
Right. Oh yeah, you have to realize that like the people you're trying to reach get like bombarded with music from people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I'm sure you guys get bombarded
All the
all the
time.
time. You know what
All
I
the
mean? So like, yeah, you have to like kind of be on eggshells a little bit, I want to say, and be sensitive to that. I don't think it's a good look to just spam the shit out of everyone. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's not.
That'll
It's
just
like,
hurt you.
it will, like, right off the bat, it's gonna make people have a distaste for you.
Yeah.
Um, when a band comes and just like likes every fucking thing in my whole,
I
Instagram
hate
stuff,
that. I hate
like,
that.
that's not a good look, man. It
Yeah.
just seems, it just doesn't seem genuine. It
Yeah.
seems like a play for likes or whatever like that, or to be noticed, and it's
Yeah.
just, it comes off as desperate. It comes off as like that you don't have anything of actual value to bring people in. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not the look you want for your band. So think about it when you're about to spam somebody, or you know what I mean? Like, there are better routes. I wish I knew how to explain how to reach someone that you want to reach. Like, I'm really like racking my brain.
I think so. I think you know how to do it. You just don't know how to word it. So I'm going to help just a little bit because it's something that I see you do. You build a community around your band, which
Yep.
then promotes you outside. Like it's people promoting you outside of yourselves. So you've built up this huge community around, you promote underground bands, you like to help people out, and you've built relationships with people without even realizing it, I think, in some ways, that are now going to advocate for you because you're advocating for other people and they see you as this genuine force in the metal industry that wants to help. And they're like, hell yeah, I'm going to go promote the Black Dahlia murder because they kick ass. Look how much they help us. And I mean,
No, that's
that's the
cool,
kind of thing that I look for.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're definitely right. I think that's a very smart thing to do as a young band too, is you know, be transparent about who your friends are, the other bands, lift them
Mhm.
up, repost them, and like you said, it starts a kind of chain reaction, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And definitely don't get caught up in the competition. It's a
Yeah.
like think about like helping other bands and that'll help, you know what I mean? Retweeting, like, yesterday Sanguisuga Bog's record dropped. Gotta smash the retweet, help them out. It's no big deal. It's just
Mhm.
what you do, you know?
Exactly.
So,
And
yeah, I think getting in on that ground level and showing that you care, that you're a part of a scene is integral, and
yes.
um, Converge, the guitar player from Converge said, if you really want to be around in a band for a long time and have longevity, you have to do something outside of the band
Yep.
too. You have to
Yep.
show that you give a fuck about what's going on, whether it's having a label, whether it's booking, whether it's, you know what I mean? Like you have to show them that it's not just this face that you put on or whatever. Like this is,
Yep.
it's bigger than you, that you're a part of it, that that goes a long way. It really does.
Yep.
Mhm. And so this kind of leads into my next question of like playlists and creating lists and things like that. It's something that I've seen work really well with some other bands. Well, they'll go and they'll create, I'm just using Spotify as an example, but a Spotify playlist, and they're like, this is my weekend workout mix. And they start sharing other bands that way, that it's, like a mix of big and small. So big to attract people and then small to introduce them to people. Do you think that's a valuable tool and like for
Yeah,
most people?
definitely. Definitely.
Mhm.
I've poked around on Spotify enough around playlists and stuff that I think that doing something like that for a young man is very smart. Um,
Mhm.
put you and your friends' bands on there.
Mhm.
Also, some bigger stuff, like you said, to draw people in. They'll just happen upon your playlist, hopefully.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that's a really valid approach there.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, sweet.
the other thing too is I know that the people that seem to do that the most, I mean, they end up attracting attention to their band eventually. Like you do that, obviously. Necrosexual was doing that. I don't know if he's still doing that, but but I mean, like here's the thing. Like when a band gets their own song on the playlist, they're going to obviously share it as well. Your band's on it. Everybody wins. I think it's great when you do it that way. Um,
Mhm.
so off playlist. Now we're on our final question here, which is making money in the age of COVID for a musician. So obviously you're not touring anymore. Last year when I talked to you with Matt, this had just happened.
Hmm.
No things going on. I know you said you were basically streaming and looking at other alternatives at the time. Can you kind of go over some ways that you personally have been able to pull in income, even though you lost probably a lot for not touring?
Yeah, like I've been very fortunate in that our band is so established, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like I have this Z level of celebrity or whatever you want to call it. And so like I'm on
You're at least an S, or maybe
okay.
a T because you're Trevor.
Yeah, T level.
I'll take it. I'll take it. So through that, like I've been able to be on Cameo first of all, which has been really fun.
Yeah.
Um And sometimes it gets a little dark and you're cheering up some people that are terminally ill or,
Mm,
it's hard. It's emotionally draining at times, but for
sure.
the most part, It's very lighthearted. It's mostly like birthday shout outs and like I've made people cry. Like they're so happy to see me out of nowhere talking to them about their birthday that they cry.
Yeah.
Like that is like so powerful to me and so like awesome. Like I've
Yeah.
always been really fan forward. And this is kind of like an extension of that, and it's been going pretty well. Twitch was really good at first. Um, then everything like popped off with the riots and everything got really darkly political, and I
Yeah.
kind of backed away from it and never like jumped back in. But it was proving to be um, pretty lucrative. I know that if I had established a real schedule and stuck with it, that
Hmm.
it could have been huge. Like it was growing at a very, like I had a built-in audience already. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so in a way, though, that was also intimidating because I'm stepping out on this new platform, um, playing games in front of people, and all of a sudden there's just hundreds of them there. You know what I mean? Like I'm not starting from scratch, definitely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit intimidating to kind of like, all right, turn it on, don't turn it off. It's time to be the comedian guy, and I just found that hard to do sometimes during this. Like I struggle with depression, and this did not help, obviously.
Yeah.
Like having nothing but time to think is the worst thing that I can, like it was
Yeah.
great to be home from tour because we have too much pride to ever stop.
Yeah.
Like there is no, like that is the rule in Black Dahlia murder, is that you can't say no.
Hmm.
Like there is no no. Like if
Hmm.
there's a tour, we're gonna do it. If there's an opportunity, we're gonna take it. And you have to be along from the ride and prioritize it. Like there's no other way. So where was I even going with this?
We were talking about income.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So like I don't know, man. So the other guys, we have Brandon doing lessons online,
Smart.
which is a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
He's very
Smart.
talented. He's very musically inclined, and
Yeah.
is very capable to that end.
Yeah.
Alan has been doing session work. Um, he'll
Smart.
either straight up record drums for your song or album, or he will program drums for you to use. Like really fleshed out, really nice program
Yeah.
drums. He's been
Yeah.
kind of monetizing that a little bit. Um, Brian is delivering weed, which is legal in Michigan, and that is pretty much the perfect job for him. I'm not gonna lie. And he's the other original member of the band, and he's like the number cruncher guy, the managerial type guy. The when the shit hits the fan, you turn to Brian. He's that guy,
Yeah.
And I'm
Hmm.
like out in front doing the interviews, being the face of the band, and those are our roles, you know what I mean? So every band needs that kind of hard ass guy like Brian, the last word guy, you
Yep.
know. I'm
Yep.
glad I'm not that guy. I don't like budgeting stuff. I don't like a lot of the shit that he has to endure. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? And
Yep.
that's like his kind of specialty. Um, but so yeah, it's definitely been hard. It was weird putting out a record during this,
Yeah, I imagine.
but honestly, we got in at the best time to do it during the pandemic. I think because it had just started,
Yep.
people were still positive. They're like, just we'll be at home for a week. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
Um, all of a sudden, everybody was stuck at home, so everybody wanted to get an interview. We had more press than I think we would have outside the pandemic
True.
because people were stuck at home, and it was one of the only safe things you could do is like Zoom a band or whatever. You know what I mean? So in a way, it was kind of the perfect storm of press, and there weren't that many albums coming out. A lot of people like chose not to put the records out and just
Yep.
wait.
I
So
remember.
the lane was kind of wide open right at that moment. So as far as like a successful drop of an album during a pandemic, I think it went as well as it could have.
Yeah.
And also I look at it like we could have been stuck at the end of an album cycle with no album coming down the pipes and had no fresh content for this whole pandemic. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We could have been like just recycling old crap and just be kind of like out of gas and just
Yep.
totally had no momentum through that. So at least we had a record out, and we have the word of mouth excitement of a new album and new artwork and new interviews. And so a lot of what would normally transpire still did, you know what
Yep.
I mean? But we
Yep.
just weren't out there to like push the album, which it definitely did hurt and still hurts. But I'm still glad we did it. I'm still glad we put it out. Um, I think it being kind of plague themed,
Yeah.
coincidentally too, made it like
Yeah.
really resonate with people. And
Yeah.
hopefully it would be the soundtrack to this thing. And it felt good to give people something positive to be excited about during this, like something to distract them. Whereas I turn to music for distraction so hard, like if I can give people that comfort, that escape, during this, that's huge, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree. So we need to wrap up since we're getting low on time. So any final words you want to say, Trevor? Final words?
Oh, and just thanks for listening. Thanks for trusting my word on other bands. I'm gonna keep them coming at you. And yeah, we're gonna hit the ground running as soon as things open up. It looks like full US in the fall, with any
Nice.
luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please
That's
come to Oregon.
Oh, I'd love
Everybody
to.
skips Oregon. Please come to Oregon.
I'd love to.
Kitchener again, so I can see you, Trevor. I didn't get to go the last time.
Yeah, man, Kitchener. Awesome. Will do, man.
All right. So
Thanks for having me, guys.
party on.
Party on, Curtis. Party on, Trevor.
Party on.